welcome to the very first edition of LumberJillville's Monday Night Classic Review, where every Monday I'm going to review a classic women's wrestling figure right here on the channel. I really want to give y'all regular content in between reviewing the brand new women's wrestling figures, and there are so many women's wrestling figures in my collection that I've never reviewed here in LumberJillville, so this series is an opportunity for me to put out those reviews and show y'all some old, sometimes good, sometimes bad women's wrestling figures. Now, these could be Mattel's, Jakks, TNA. The possibilities are endless here, and I'm really excited for the series to start. So every Monday night, look for a brand new video. These reviews are going to be a little shorter, but there are going to be some unique features. We're going to have some figure facts involved. We're going to have some details involved that usually the figure reviews of the current product don't include. So I'm real excited for today's review, which is Elite Series 53 Alexa Bliss. Now, before we get started on this review, I'm going to send it over to Secretary Stase, and let's hear some figure facts.
Welcome to my figure facts, where I share interesting details on the figure at hand. Here are some neat tidbits on Elite Series 53 Alexa Bliss, released in 2017. First Elite figure of Alexa. Her figure's gear is Harley Quinn inspired. Only Alexa figure with her signature hand pieces that are removable. Now back to Mayor Aaron to the unboxing and review.
Thank you, Secretary Stase, for those awesome facts on this figure. Now, I do have this figure MOC. Most of the figures in this series are already going to be unboxed, but I do have the pleasure of having the package here, so we'll take a look at it before we open it up. Now, this is a nice open window. Let's all take a deep breath and really feel that fresh air rush into our lungs, because yes, they used to have large open windows. Those were the days, everybody. But we can see everything included in here, kind of. I think she's supposed to come with a backdrop stand or something, as you can see here. Maybe that's behind the cardboard. You can't really see that, but we can see this little skirt piece, also the figure displayed nicely. And as I mentioned, it includes a backstage interview display stand. So we'll see if it's in there. We have her name there. We have the series number. And this is a very unique packaging. And at the time, this is what they all look like back in 2017. We have the Raw logo at the top. We also have what it includes. It includes entrance belt. I don't know if I'd consider that a belt, but okay. We have an image of the stunning Alexa Bliss. On that side, on this side, we have a larger image of it. And on the back, let's see what it says. Collect them all to create an exclusive backstage interview, a diorama. So I guess if you collect them all, you can build that diorama. That's cool. Now here we have her stats there, which is very, very cool. Now this says, this ring attire is from No Mercy, October 9th, 2016. We'll do some research on that. And then it has her signature moves, career highlights, and then we have the rest of the series. Let's see if anyone pops out. Okay, Heath Slater and Jericho, I guess, are the only ones not with the company still. But either way, let's open this figure up, and we are going to unbox it. And you know what? I don't really plan on keeping the package, so I'm not going to be as careful as some MOC collectors watching probably want me to be. But I'll try to just slice the tape. One piece there. We have a piece at the bottom. Is that it? Okay, is it just two pieces of tape? Wow, yeah, times have changed, y'all. We just have two pieces of tape, and look on the side there, we have a little diorama, what it's supposed to do. So let's take it out. So, okay, yeah, it looks like we slide out Alexa there. Okay, we had a stand fall. Now this stand right here, and then behind that, hey, we have the diorama. So let's put this together here. Drop that. So the diorama. Alright, so to build this display stand, we got three pieces. Okay, this diorama display stand. So what you do is you slide in this cardboard so that it has these little tabs in front. That holds it nice and secure, and then you can see these holes here, and these plug right into this. So that's a nice little display stand diorama. That's pretty neat. I wish they included these still. I don't know about the giant studio light in the past, which shout out to his brother. We have Studio Light Jr. over here. Yeah, let's check out this figure. WWE Elite Series 53 Alexa Bliss, released in 2017, and the date on the back of the package is wrong. She did not wear this at No Mercy 2016. She wore this in a promo leading up to that, but she actually wore this from the 2016 Backlash pay-per-view, which took place on September 11th from Richmond, Virginia. On this night, Alexa would participate in the six-pack elimination challenge for the inaugural SmackDown Women's Championship. Becky Lynch would go on and end up winning that night. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure, especially for being Alexa's first Elite, it's really, really good. There are some things I'm not a fan of this figure, but overall it really stands out on an Alexa shelf like I have. Now, truth being told, I did have this figure previously, but I didn't really appreciate it, mostly because it had two left hands that drove me nuts. But I did just get this recently, MOC. That's obviously why we looked at it today, and kind of what sparked me to create this new Monday Night Classic review series. So yeah, it's really cool to have this Alexa in front of me with a left and a right hand, and there's a lot to cover on this figure. Now, before we do, let's talk about this display stand diorama piece. I think it would look cool if you had all of them, I guess, side by side to really create that diorama. I like how it has the Elite number on there, but I could do without it. I mean, I can kind of see how they stopped doing this because it's such a cliche thing, and when you just get one figure out of the set, then you just have like this studio light in the background. That's just bizarre. But the figure itself is cool. Now, we are going to start off just like usual and talk about the accessories. So right off the bat, you can see this tutu, this pink and blue tutu that is connected to the belt there, and it is really cool. The sculpting work is amazing. Now, the only thing that would have made it better is if it was soft goods. That would have been stellar. But for what it is, the sculpting's really good, and I like that. It's also connected via belt that fits her very snug, so that fits very, very good. It is easy to take off and put on. And actually, I believe when she came out this night at that Backlash pay-per-view, she had this attached to a bat. So keep that in mind. Maybe you could do some fig photography and attach this to a bat. But yeah, this is definitely a cool little tutu skirt belt accessory piece. Now, something else are these hand pieces. Now, she was known for her gloves and her entrance with the gloved hands, but she did have these kind of metal robotic type jewelry pieces that were on her hand. And what's really cool about these is not only do they look awesome, but they can come off really easily. It just slides on and off over the thumb and then snaps into place. So that's really cool. Also, these bracelets are removable, I guess, if you take the hands off. But I believe this was before the time you could swap out hands. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, these hand pieces are really, really cool. Now, let's take a closer look at the figure itself. Now, as far as the face scan, face sculpt, and hair sculpt goes, I shouldn't say face scan, because this was before TrueFX face scan technology, so the faces were painted onto a sculpt, and a lot of people prefer this. I do not. I actually really like the TrueFX face scan because when it's done properly and printed on correctly, it looks amazing. And this is before then, and I'm not a huge fan of how this face turned out. I think they did better in figures after this one that still didn't have the TrueFX face scan. This is kind of a swing and a miss for me. I think the eyes are a little too far apart. But I will say this face is painted on a lot better than my other Alexa Elite 53. Let's see if I can bring her in. Let's bring in a lefty. She got two left hands. Yeah, this one looks a little more derpy, to be honest with you. Eyes are kind of going in all different directions. So I guess it depends on how your face is painted on, because this one's not painted on terribly, but I think it really does need some improvement. And it gets that in the future, and that's good to know. Now, what really stands out is the hair sculpt. The hair sculpt is beautiful. We got those high pigtails, and it's sculpted on awesome. And what's really, really cool is the hair goes from blonde and fades into a pink, and not just any pink. It's kind of hard to show up on camera, but it's like a metallic pink it fades into. That is freaking spectacular. It is cool. I really do love and appreciate that detail. It just looks really, really cool. And I love how there's bows sculpted in, a pink one in the left side, a blue one on the right, again with a metallic paint deco. And it looks like her lips are painted like a bright pink. So yeah, I think for the time, this is a really good head sculpt and hair sculpt, but I do think the face left a little bit to be desired, can kind of look derpy from different angles, and as we all know, Alexa Bliss is the farthest thing from looking a little derpy. So let's go to the body sculpt and the attire. As far as the body sculpt and attire goes, I think the attire is what really makes this figure unique and stand out. I think it's beautiful. There's a lot of metallic paint accents that really stand out, and the body sculpt itself, it works for her. Alexa's shorter in stature, and I think they did a good job with part choices, but I will say this is kind of a thing with a lot of Alexa Bliss figures. Even some of the more modern Alexa Bliss figures have a really elongated chest, and what I mean by that is the distance from the bottom of the neck down to the sternum here is really long. Like, I feel like this area here should be shorter. Her chest should be up higher. So I don't know why they kind of went with that sculpt for a lot of Alexa figures. I'm looking over at my Alexa shelf, and a lot of them have that. And it might not be too noticeable in this one because there's a lot to take your eyes off of that, but there are some Alexa figures. Even the Ultimate Edition one has a little bit of a long sternum here, long chest, and like I mentioned, that chest should be up higher. I think it would be more lifelike that way, but either way, I think the rest of the sculpting is cool. She has a ripped midsection, muscular legs, and the attire is what really stands out to me. So the top is sculpted. Now, we will see this sculpted attire a lot on Alexa figures because it's the type of attire she wore for a long time. And there's a lot of really cool, intricate sculpted details. Even the studs are sculpted on. The little trim is sculpted. The back, the straps are sculpted. There's a lot of studs going around. Now, the paint application really stands out on this top. It's like a metallic, shimmery blue there that really pops and stands out, especially in contrast with the pink that's in between it. We have black as a base color. We have these gauntlets here, or bracelets, I guess you could say gauntlets. Oh my goodness. And these could be removable. I'm not sure how the hands, they're not really supposed to come off. This is before that we got switchable hands and swappable heads. So, I mean, they are separate pieces, and that's cool. And it's really cool that they have sculpted studs, but we have a blue one on the right wrist, pink one on the left. The bottoms are just painted on, but they're painted on pretty good. A black base with some pink and, again, metallic blue accents, black knee pads, and then the boots. We have Alexa on the right and Bliss on the left, and that's painted on very intricately, very cool, and that is the kick pad mold. So as far as the body sculpt and attire goes, the attire is beautiful, and the body sculpt, I think it's good, but I do think that this, I guess, yeah, the sternum, I guess you would say, that is just a little elongated, and we see that a lot in Alexa Bliss figures in general, so that's something they haven't really fixed even in the modern Alexa figures, but maybe they will someday. Let's look at articulation. This was before the women's double jointed elbows, before the swappable hands, so we'll see what we got here. The head actually moves really, really well. We have a lot of movement. Even with this hair sculpt, it actually is pretty bendable, so we can look all around. Shoulders on a ball joint can move in all different directions. We have the upper arm swivel. We have a single jointed elbow, but it can bend about 45 degrees. The wrist can circle, and it can't extend up and down like modern elites. We have the upper torso swivel. We have a lot of movement here. We have the waist swivel. Thighs on a ball joint can move in all different directions. We have an upper thigh swivel. The knee, I believe, is it single jointed? It's hard to tell because of the knee pad, but we don't get a whole lot of movement either way because of the knee pad. We have a boot swivel, and then the foot can just plantar flex down and dorsiflex up. So yeah, this was before the improvements in articulation, but you get pretty decent articulation. Although a lot of the women's basics from this time and before had the same articulation. All right, let's do a little comparison. Now, this is almost not fair because the figure on the left was released years after this one on the right. This is the Ultimate Edition Alexa Bliss that comes with a lot of different heads and different looks that you can put her in, and I think this might be my favorite look that you can put her in. And, yeah, it's a far superior figure, honestly. But, yeah, just like this other one, I sound crazy saying this, but it's kind of hard to explain unless you have it in hand, that the space between the bottom of the neck down to her chest is really long. It should be shorter. The chest should be higher up. Even on the Ultimate Edition, you can really tell kind of from the side. And that's such a small nitpick, but I mean, I guess that's what I'm here for. But yeah, it's not really fair to compare a newer figure to the older one, but I just wanted to do a little side by side. And as you can see, the Ultimate Edition is shorter than the Elite 53, and she is very small in stature. So yeah, I just want to do a little quick side by side, but for the time period, Elite 53 is pretty neat. Alright, so this part's going to be a lot different than my normal figure reviews where I give an overall score. I am not going to give these classic figures overall scores because I don't think that's fair. There's been so much advancement in women's wrestling figures as far as articulation goes, quality goes, all the above. And I don't think it's fair to give an older figure a score compared to those. And it's hard to go back in, let's say, a 2017 mindset and give it a rightful score that's fair. So instead, what I'm going to do on this segment is I'm going to go over the most recent sold listings on eBay so we can kind of get a gauge as to what they're going for right now. And I'm going to tell you whether I think it's worth it or not, and overall if I think it's worth adding to your collection. So that being said, the most recent eBay sold listings for Elite 53 Alexa Bliss loose was $18 free shipping. MOC $25 free shipping. Boom, my mind is exploded because this is a cool figure. I didn't expect the prices to be that low, but the prices are pretty low on this figure. So make sure to head on over to eBay and check this figure out if you don't have it in your collection, because at least at the time of this recording, it's listed very, very low in price, and it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Now, overall, do I think this figure should be added to your collection? Now, if you're an Alexa Bliss completionist, you probably already have it by now. And if you don't, or if you're thinking of becoming an Alexa completionist, go and pick it up. And I definitely think that's a cool goal to have. I have a lot of complete sets of women's wrestlers. And Alexa, you can see right down here, I have every Alexa Bliss figure. There she goes. So I obviously had to have this in my collection. Now, if you're not an Alexa Bliss completionist, maybe if you collect men's figures too, you could probably pass on this figure. Honestly, I think she has had better Elite figures, a better Ultimate Edition figure released of her. So I guess you would only need this if you're a diehard women's wrestling figure collector or an Alexa completionist. But either way, it's a cool figure. And it's also cool if you are a DC or a Marvel collector, because this is Harley Quinn inspired gear. Thanks for watching the very first edition of LumberJillville's Monday Night Classic Review. Let me know in the comments below if you like this idea. Either way, I am going to do at least the next couple months releasing a classic review every Monday. I really want to pick up steam on it. I really want to review some of these older women's figures. So let me know if you like this idea, and hopefully it's something that can be long-term on the channel. I think it'd be really cool to look forward to a video every Monday of an old women's wrestling figure, older women's wrestling figure right here in LumberJillville to review. But either way, thank you for watching today's video. Let me know what you think of today's video. I love seeing feedback. And stay tuned, there are a lot of brand new women's wrestling figure reviews coming to LumberJillville. And yes, there will be a classic review next Monday night, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, y'all.